Grand Banks is one of the big names in motorboating. Its iconic range of displacement and semi-displacement trawler yachts are arguably the definitive examples of the breed. But recently, the brand has been going through something of a transition, away from slow, heavy, long-range displacement yachts to faster, more efficient, higher-tech planing boats. And this behind me here is a perfect example of the breed. This is the new Grand Banks 54. And we're going to take you on a full tour and sea trial of this remarkable boat. My name is Hugo Andreae. You're watching Motorboat and Yachting. Let's go boating. Grand Banks have always had a timeless look, and that is no different. You've still got that lovely planking effect along the hulls, you've got beautiful, elegant lines. This is the Flybridge version, but you can also do a sedan version that is even sleeker and even leaner. But somehow they never go out of style. However, what has changed is that the build process and the hull shape is very different to before. This has a lot of carbon fibre in it, it's remarkably light for such a big boat, it's actually about 59 foot long, and it has a full planing hull, so it has seriously capable speed. This will do over 30 knots with the larger 900 horsepower engines on it. But let's go and take a closer look and I'll describe how it all works. Just take a look at the aft view as well. We've got that lovely tumble home stern, you can just see it pinched in at the top there. The classic wooden transom, but let me let you into a little bit of a secret here, because it may look like perfect wood. It is in fact painted, and that's just to make it easier to look after. So it looks exactly like beautiful, highly lacquered wooden transom. It is in fact painted. Even the joints here are painted. We've got these really heavy duty rails around the bathing platform. Everything about it is just designed and built to give you confidence. And just look at that shape with the sun shining on it. It does look like a magnificent little ship. But let's go up and take a closer look, because that's when you can really start to see some of the detail. Check out some of this mooring gear, for instance. You shouldn't get overexcited about this, but look how beautifully shaped that all is. We've got winches to haul it all in, beautifully shaped cleats, these fair leads, absolutely lovely. Great big chunky guardrails all the way around. Even here, look at these midships cleats. Do you see how there's a little bump in there, curve in there? All beautifully done. This capping here, this too is painted. Again, in the interest of making it easier to look after, it means you don't have to varnish it or worry about the woodwork. We've got gates in the bulwarks here. This section of the rail lifts up too. So it's practical as well as stylish. Lovely wide side decks all the way around. Shelter overhead. You can see this is the Flybridge overhang. Non-slip grip on these side decks here. Huge foredeck. No sunpads or anything out at the moment. I'm sure you could get them if you wanted. But there's something refreshingly sort of old school about the look, and the fact that it prioritizes seamanship and easy crewing and easy helming over some of the sort of fripperies that you find on a lot of boats these days. Great big anchor locker in there. Look at that, even in the anchor locker, they've got teak on the floor down there, but tons of space. Lovely stainless steel anchor chain, strut to hold it in place. Everything just feels built to last a lifetime. Massive Kahlenberg horns mounted high up there. We've got a big sort of eyebrow over the windscreen itself that just stops getting too much glare onto the helm position. We can see we've got the blinds down, big wipers, 3-section screen, traditional old school stuff that works. Lovely big door, side door, going straight into the skipper's position. Look how heavy duty that is. Massive, great, thick section. You can see it's all held locked in place. I don't know if I can get my toe in there. Might have to do it by hand. But look at the size of that. Huge, great chunky hinges, closes like a bank vault. Serious heavy duty stuff. Let's go and have a look up at the Flybridge. First of all, just wanted to point out, even in the steps here, we've got a couple of drawers, so no inch has been wasted. Really nice wide steps, good shallow trajectory. It's not some steep, narrow ladder, got grab rails along the side, so very easy to come up here, even for someone of my age and decrepitude. Big hardtop overhead provides plenty of shelter. Wet bar along this side. Sink, that feels like real marble. It's nice and cool to the touch. Plenty of storage under there. You have to open the right one first. Fridge over here. And then where the main action happens, 2 heavy duty, I'm pretty sure those are STID captain's chairs. You can see they're multi-adjustable. You can adjust them for height and reach. We've got fold-out footrests. Yep, they are. That's the STID logo. They're hideously expensive, these things, but supremely supportive and comfortable. Even adjustment for the backrest. 2 of those. Traditional ship's wheel. Twin Garmin screens. You'll notice that even though it's on Volvo engines, they have chosen to use the twin disc quick shift system. You've got a trolling option on there, so you can put it around there, and just means that rather than having a minimum idle speed of what it might be, sort of 6 or 7 knots, it slips the clutch and you can take it right down to 2 or 3 knots when you're berthing. Also look and feel rather more special than the usual standard Volvo things. Bow and stern thrusters, Humphrey electric fin stabilizers, and a traditional ship's compass. Now, of course, it's also a really comfy boat for guests to spend time on, so we've got a lovely seating area here. And look at this table, look at the thickness of that. Nobody makes tables like that anymore. It's several inches thick, beautifully lacquered. There's even a little inset Grand Banks logo right in the center of that. Plenty of comfortable seating all the way around, good tall backrests. Really feels like you're sitting in it rather than on it. Lovely quality teak underfoot. And then back, this is obviously tender storage. I think this looks like a Walker Bay. It's a Generation LTE, I think this is called. Little Honda 30 horsepower, is it? Yep, looks like a 30 horsepower Honda on there, but proper rib layout. Crane, obviously, to lift it on and off the deck. Lots of secure guardrails all the way around. It means you can actually get outboard too. Non-slip underfoot. And an extra bar area here. Let's have a peek under here if I can lift that up. Oh my goodness, that is heavy. Okay, there is a gas strut there. You can see we've got a Kenyan grill under there. I can't tell you how heavy that is. That's just presumably the marble and the beautiful thick moulding on that. More storage under here. You've got to open the right one first. Look at that, even the shelves have got little wood retainers on them. Beautifully done. Oh, excuse me, I have had permission to do this. Put that down. Oh my goodness, that is so heavy. Let's come back down here. So lovely sheltered cockpit area, extends a long way back. You can see the Flybridge overhang extends all the way to the back of the boat. Just means this is a really secure area. Lots of seating, like the fact you've got some aft-facing seating here. You'll notice even under here, we've got drawers everywhere. Lots of extra storage, all soft close, beautifully finished. Monster table here. Look at the size of that, beautifully done. Over on this side, we've got some cool storage. Makes use of the space under the stairs, 2 of those. And then into the main event, the saloon. Just check out the quality of the finish in here. So much beautiful teak everywhere. Now this is of course the real deal. In fact, all these bits, only the transom and the external woodwork that just is easier to have painted and less maintenance. But teak frames all the way around, all these windows beautifully set in teak. Lovely internal dining area here. Honestly, just look at the quality of that. I think it's the best woodwork I've seen on any boat of this size, and does help explain why it costs a few quid, but we'll talk about that later. Love this more sort of informal area over here with a little face-to-face seating. Just means it's nice sort of sociable interaction space as well as a dining space opposite. There is a TV behind here. I might just be able to show you that. Press that little button on the remote control. That whirs up. I'm not going to go the whole way, but it's pretty obvious. Well, it'll come up as we carry on talking. Now, the other thing I wanted to point out is that you'll see that 2 of these windows are actually electric on either side. And I can probably show you that too. If I get these buttons here, first, so this window here, you can see goes up and down. But really important on boats like this with big internal saloons, it's so lovely to get a throughput of air and proper ventilation. And you'll see that window goes pretty much the whole way down. Exactly the same over on the port side. There's another one over there. I can probably find that there. Put that one down. And it's not just here. You'll notice at the stern too, those aft windows, those are both electric. And they're actually on a single button. But look at that, you can see them coming up. So got that flexibility. It's the kind of boat you can go cruising anywhere in the world. You've got a proper range, and I'll talk about that in a minute. And look at the detailing up here. Lovely grab rails straight down the middle of there. Soft touch deck head overhead. It's one of those boats that just feels like it's been built by someone who knows what they're doing, knows what they're talking about, has actually been to sea and used a boat in proper challenging conditions. We've got a wine fridge in there. Again, little things like the fact that there's a latch on that, so even if you are in rough seas, the door's not going to open and your precious wine collection comes spilling out. Really big galley area here. You can have galley up or galley down. This is clearly the galley up layout. You'll notice there's a transition as you move from the saloon to the galley area, from carpet to teak. That much more practical, but still looks beautifully finished. Plenty of worktop space. Masses more chill space up here. So you've got two more of those drawers, plenty of cooling space. Oven under here. We've also got a half-size dishwasher, but super fast cycle, so you can get through it quickly. Look at the detail work in here. So cutlery drawer, every single one of these knives has the little Grand Banks logo. Sharp knives too. Exactly the same for all the crockery and cutlery. All the glasses have their own little retainer. Make sure they don't rattle around. Plenty more storage space under there. Eye level lockers all the way around up here. Beautifully lit with artificial lighting, but also got that big opening window there, so plenty of fresh air coming through it. 3-burner induction hob. This whole boat, incidentally, is run on lithium-ion batteries, so you don't have to have a generator whirring away all the time. We've got more storage under here. And then this beautiful helm seat here. Now, I love the fact that this looks so smart, feels so comfortable. Even the fact that the bottom of these bolsters actually has a little wood facing on it, but they can be done individually or together. We've got little footrests down here, and that just feels so solid and so sturdy. Often you get on a boat and there's a footrest and it feels a little bit clunky and cheap. That has a beautiful, solid solidity to it. Here's the door from the inside. We saw just how chunky that was. We've obviously got the blinds down so you can't see through, but very nice clear view forward. Mullions not too thick, even though it is a 3-section screen, they're quite nice thin mullions so it doesn't block too much view. Very comprehensive helm station, quick shift twin disc throttles again, twin Garmin screens, bow stern thruster, quick access to all the buttons, very clearly marked. Traditional ship's wheel with the old Grand Banks logo in the middle. Really feels like you're in command of a proper little ship. Blinds absolutely everywhere. And then drops down into the lower deck. Worth pointing out that behind here we've got all the breaker switches. Very nice and conveniently located. Look at the quality of finishing here. Lovely kind of leather, little stitching in there. I'm getting a bit geeky, but it is really quite special. Lovely handrail on the way down the stairs. Again, stainless steel sort of ends with a nice solid wooden, beautifully smooth grab rail. And before we go into the cabins, I'm just going to geek out once more, because check out some of these panels underfoot. Flick that little button, little ring, and look at that. That is a space that no guest is going to see. But even here they've got, it's not actually teak, it's sort of carpet under there. But look how beautifully lit. This is all those lithium-ion batteries I mentioned earlier. So you don't have to have a generator running when you're overnighting. You can keep all the lights on, the cooking going, even the stabilizers. Just means you don't have to have a noisy diesel generator. And look at the quality and the thickness of that too. So even the spaces you don't get to see are as beautifully finished as the ones you do. But let's start by going forward, because the master cabin on this is forward. Absolute haven of peace and calm in here. Masses of teak all the way around. Look at that for a lovely example of finishing. That's actually curved, but you can probably see the sort of grain both closing in, and it comes to a little point in the middle, little V-shaped, but properly book matched. Got a overhead hatch, letting a bit of natural light in, subtle recessed artificial lighting, really big bed. There's no sort of pinching on that at all. It is a properly symmetrical rectangular bed, masses of locker space all the way around at eye level. Couple of ports quite high up there, looking out sort of onto the decks rather than out to sea, but just gives a bit more natural light inside. Smart little dressing area over on this side. Again, soft touch drawers absolutely everywhere. TV in the bulkhead here, matching set over here, so you can kind of have his and hers dressing areas. And look at this door, you think, well, that's got to be like an ensuite. No, that is just the wardrobe. But what a wardrobe. Masses of space, internally lit, and proper teak door giving access to it. Carpet on the floor. The ensuite is, of course, here. That's over on this side. Look at this. Lovely walk-in shower compartment. Even the clip for that. Heated towel rail. Marble work surface. More natural light, more storage behind these. They pop open. Got all the plug sockets and so on safely concealed in there. And of course, even the toilet seat is wooden. Look at the quality of that flooring, just beautiful. Right, moving back through the boat. We're now heading aft. Over on the port side, we've got a double cabin. Not the widest of beds, that looks like it's probably 4 foot at best, I would think. Reasonable headroom over the bed, that's sort of sitting headroom, it's not standing headroom in there. And you do have the washer dryer tucked in there, so you don't really want that keeping you company overnight, but obviously you can use it during the daytime. Big hanging locker on this side. Plenty of standing headroom at the foot of the bed. If I spin the camera around, you can see there's towering headroom over me here. It's literally just over the bed where it drops down a bit. But plenty of space around here. You can stand, get dressed, sit on the end of the bed. And cleverly they've put a bifold door on this, so it doesn't take up too much space, but you can see that slides across and gives you the privacy you need, but doesn't take up too much space when it's folded away. Worth pointing out, there's a couple more storage areas under the stairs. I told you they hadn't wasted a single inch on this boat. There's another one under there, and then twin cabin over on this side, and this is a really good sized cabin. Towering headroom here. I'm going to show you this again because there's got to be at least a foot above my head. I'm 6 foot tall. Couple of twin beds, plenty of clearance over the beds. You can see there's actually a little drop down, so as you step down it creates more headroom. Decent size there, look like they're actually this one looks a little bit wider than this one on this side, so that looks a good 3 foot, that's probably 2.5. Bedside table, little sort of storage and makeup area in there, mirrors everywhere. Ensuite bathroom, very good size indeed. Overhead hatch here, letting a bit of natural light in. We've even got a little tiny window in there, but mirrors, more marble, really good size sink, not one of these tiny little ones that you're throwing water all over the place just trying to wash your face. Huge Tecma toilet there with another wooden seat, of course. Really big shower in there. Hasn't got an overhead rain shower, but it's got a big shower head there, so it looks pretty comfortable. Somewhere to put your shampoos, another heated towel rail. You just know that this is going to be one of those boats that look after you properly. And to demonstrate that, I'm going to give you a peek down in the engine bay, because that is very special too. So access the engine is here. You'll notice there are in fact two. There's extra lockers here with capital storage space, but let's have a look down under here. So if we lift up that hatch, just give you a little look in here. Now check this out. Oh, you're right, I should have started over on that side. It's such a big opening. I need to come around here. But look at that, proper teak steps down into the lazarette. And look at this. This is just the lazarette. The engines are further forward. We have got so much going on here. So this is the heating system. It's a proper hot water heating system that sort of circulates around the boat to heat exchangers. It's quieter, more efficient, more effective, keeps the boat really warm. Here you can see some of the Humphrey ride control unit. So that is for the fins and the trim tabs. Looks like we've got full hydraulics running around here. I'm guessing that's for the steering. It looks like it is. You've got access everywhere. I mean, everywhere you look, the engineering standard on this boat is absolutely out of this world. There's access to the exhausts in there. And then if I spin round, lovely little storage unit here with emergency ladders tucked beneath here. More storage space over here, and then into the engine room. And this is where it gets really very special. So what we have here are the twin Volvo 900 horsepower. These are the D13s, and they will give you a top speed of sort of 31, 32 knots. You can see they're on straight shafts. And the other thing is that even though it's a properly quick boat, it will plane at as low a speed as 13 knots. And importantly, it's got a properly decent range. So you can have a 500-mile cruising range at 20 knots or 1,000 miles at 10 knots. It's one of those boats that's just super comfortable at any speed. And look how clean it is down here. We've got properly immaculate, nicely lit. You can lift these panels over the engines. There's not a lot of clearance above them, but the panels in the saloon will lift up if you want access to them. There you can see the shafts running under there. These are the raw water strainers. Look at the size of those seacocks. And look how clean it is. Beautiful teak flooring all the way around it. This is an absolute engineer's delight. The hull shape of these new Grand Banks is a little bit different. It's what they call a V-warp design. So it has a very fine entry with a big bow flare, and then it flattens off at the stern to quite a low dead rise. I think it's only about 6 degrees, but it's a nice shallow transom too, so it shouldn't drag a lot of water. Makes it faster, more efficient. It's also a very light build. It uses a lot of carbon fibre. The whole deck and superstructure is all carbon fibre, and the hull itself is Vinelester infused resin with carbon reinforcement. Now, this one has a pair of 900 horsepower Volvo D13 engines. The standards are 725 horsepower D11s, but this should give it a bit more grunt. Now, the first thing I've noticed is that it's a very easy running hull. So at idle speed, it's about 650 RPM. It's burning just 12 litres an hour, and we're doing 7.8, about 8 knots. But if we pick the speed up, there's a little bit of bow rise, but it's very hard to tell when it's actually planing or not. So for instance, now we are cruising along at 13.5, 14 knots. We're doing 1200 RPM and it's burning 72, 73 litres an hour. But it really doesn't feel like we're pushing a lot of water. It's actually running very cleanly through it. Pick up the speed again. Now we're doing 18 knots. We must be on the plane, but there's not a distinctive hump that you climb over. It just settles down. Now we're burning 125 litres an hour, 1500 RPM, and doing a steady 19 knots. The other thing I've noticed is just how responsive it is. So if I have a quick look around, and we'll turn to port, and even though it's a very large, sort of traditional vertical ship's wheel, just put a little bit of turn on, and very quickly, it's tracking round that turn almost in a couple of boat lengths at most. It's really unusual for a boat of this size to turn so quickly. It's obviously got very big rudders, but also a very capable hull that does that without feeling like it's stressing it at all. In fact, we can do it a fair bit quicker than that. So let me pick the speed up again. Let's see what we can get. Now we're punching through our own wake, and that's another good example of just how effective this hull is. Because of that fine entry, even though it's fairly flat at the back, it's not slamming through the waves. It's cutting through them very neatly, throwing the wake nice and wide, and absolutely no slamming at all. But let's pick the speed up a bit. So now we're cruising along at, well, we're doing 27 knots now, and that's 290, about 300 litres an hour, 2,200 RPM, but feels equally comfortable. It really doesn't feel like it's stressing the engines or the hull. Let's go all the way and see what it'll do. Flat out now. Might just trim the nose down a little bit. Now we're doing 31 knots, 32 knots, 350 litres an hour. but you can cover some serious ground at this speed. Just going to ease it back a little bit before doing another turn. This time we'll turn to starboard. We've got a little bit of a tide race over there. Let's turn to starboard. Look at that. That is a lot of boat turning very, very quickly. Once again, even at this speed, we're doing it in maximum 2 boat lengths. Let's cross over our own wake at speed, see how it copes with that. Now we're doing 26 knots, quite a big wake. Look at that. That is very, very capable. Not a hint of a slam, barely a squeak from the leather. That feels like a really capable boat, and nice and refined too. So just ease it back down to displacement speed. Now that is exactly what I hope to find. I think a lot of people are concerned that moving to a full planing hull might introduce a certain amount of slamming or means that it's only comfortable at very specific speeds. But what's so pleasing about this is that you've got that full range of cruising pace from displacement right up to planing. You've got Humphrey stabilizers to keep it nice and stable, and because of that nice fine entry, it still cuts through it at speed with no slamming at all. I'm very impressed with that. Well, that was an absolutely fascinating sea trial. I had been a bit concerned, like a lot of Grand Banks fans, that maybe in the transition away from a displacement or semi-displacement hull, it would have lost some of that magic. But not at all. It has showed me quite the opposite, in fact, that it's still capable of cruising very efficiently and very comfortably at low speeds, particularly with those electronic Humphrey stabilizers helping to keep it rock steady. But it's equally comfortable at much faster speeds. We measured a top speed two-way average against and with the tide of just over 31 knots, but it's also got immense range. At a displacement cruising speed of about 7.5 knots, I calculated that at 11 litres per hour, that works out at about 2,200 nautical miles from its 3,500 litre tank. But equally, you can cruise just as comfortably at 20 knots and you will still get well over 400 nautical miles and about 7.5 litres per nautical mile. And you can choose pretty much any speed you want, all the way from that 7 knot to that 31 knots, and it will feel equally comfortable at any of those speeds. So yes, it's a different kind of Grand Banks, and it's an expensive one. This particular boat starts at about 3.9 million US dollars. And spec'd up as it is, it's more like 4.2, 4.3, and that's ex-tax. So that is a lot of money, but it does show. And crucially, it still looks and feels like a Grand Banks. Yes, it's a different kind of one. Yes, it's a big one. Yes, it's an expensive one. But you know what? It really does feel like you're getting your money's worth.